like the first two episodes so far of Acolyte that I just kind of watched. I'm like, maybe I gotta digest a little bit more, whatever. But like for the most part, it's kind of just meh.
You think it's something that's going to get better later?
I mean, hopefully, like because like we don't really know why all the conflict's happening. Like that's the thing about it. It's like why is like this sister like pissed off at the Jedi or whatever. She even says in like in the second episode, I'm here to kill 4 Jedi. She's killed 2 of them so far within the first 2 episodes, and clearly it was the 4 Jedi that were on like her home, in her village. Like when the fire burnt down the place or whatever. And I was like, if it's just a fire, do you think it would have killed everyone? No, there's probably another reason that the fire happened. If I had to guess. Or whatever.
Someone dropped a lantern on a haystack, got out of control.
Yeah, just spun wildly out of control or whatever. I mean, they like when the one guy says is like, oh, that May the sister started the fire, and I go, whatever. I'm not gonna like say whether or not it's good or bad at this point because I want to see the whole thing in its entirety before I make judgments on it.
That's fair.
It's like it really comes down to will the front half be redeemed by the back half, because the back half is clearly going to be the mystery that they keep talking about in these first 2 episodes, and if it's a good enough payoff, it could. It's like a lot of the characters themselves are decently acted or whatever. There was the one main Jedi or whatever. I think he was from like Squid Game or something like that is in it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was funny too. I was like, oh, there's one of the, and he's actually probably been the best character so far. His name's Soul, I think. So there's that. My only thing is that they show like they're trying to show off like these different alien races in the show as well, but it's like the one like lady that walks in, it's like clearly like the leader of the Jedi Council at the time, just looks like a bald lady in like some like green makeup. It's like they didn't even try, man. It's like I get sometimes it can be a little tough to make aliens look unique or anything like that, but at the same time, it's like when you just slap some green makeup on somebody, it's just like that's not really doing this justice.
No, aside from like Jabba the Hutt too, that's kind of always been an issue in Star Wars where a lot of the aliens just look like humans with some makeup on. Yeah,
like sometimes like you have some like. What is it? Like not prosthetics, but like the costumes or whatever, like the actors wear or whatever, and it looks good then. But it's like,
yeah,
I get that it can be like hard to fight in that or whatever. So, sure, I don't know. Whatever, it's fine. So there's that.
You know something in Star Wars that I'm still waiting for them to explain in like a show or a movie? So the whole series starts out with a long time ago in a galaxy far away. Are they ever going to explain how back then humans were all the way out there in outer space? Is Earth ever going to show up in the show?
Probably not.
It's like, are they ever going to explain how we go from Star Wars to this point in time?
Well, it's a galaxy far, far away.
They travel between galaxies all the time.
Not necessarily.
They can't come to this one?
They actually only done it once, and it was in the Ahsoka show. It's between planets, not between galaxies.
Oh.
Semantics, I know, right?
You're right. That's way different. I'm sorry.
Yeah, you're right. I don't know. Probably not. It doesn't really matter.
They have fucking warp technology, but it's too much to believe that they can't use that to go to another galaxy.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, so if those aren't humans, then what are they? Where did they come from?
I don't know. Who cares?
Well, I care. I care. I'm interested. They do all this over-explaining as to what the Force is. They have like a billion different types of lightsabers, yet they can't explain where the humans in that show come from.
They're just there, man.
Okay, where's their home planet?
Earth. It got exploded by the Death Star thousands of years ago.
I don't. I simply do not understand.
Look, I don't think when George Lucas made Star Wars, he was thinking that. I was like, oh yeah, but the thing is they never call them humans, so we don't know that they're humans. They just look like humans.
All right, they look and they function exactly like humans. We have no idea where their home planet is. They're just everywhere. They're like a fucking invasive species infesting every corner of the galaxy.
Yep. Just like humans do.
You know, yeah.
Yep. Oh man. No, I was like, I don't know. It's just like Star Wars is Star Wars from here is going to be interesting because it's like other than like the Dave Filoni stuff, and it's like apparently like we're still going to get like another Rey like movie or whatever. To which I go, I don't know what you do from here.
No, I'm just shocked that we're getting more Star Wars movies. I thought we were going to get more, but they kind of just vanished off the face of the earth since Rise of Skywalker came out. And they've just been focusing on television shows.
Well, I think that's partially because, one, because of Rise of Skywalker's just bad rap that it had. I mean, it was bad.
Look, I mean, how many fucking bad Marvel movies have they put out, though? And they still are making plenty of those.
I know, but it's like...
It's like, if we're going by that logic, they would have stopped making MCU movies after, like...
Well, there's plenty of comics to go off of or whatever.
Or Eternals.
There's plenty of comics to go off of, but like in Star Wars, it's like you have to make up your own thing or whatever, and for the most part, it's going to be hard to do, I guess.
I know, and they've gotten a fucking billion shows based off of it. You can't tell me that they just can't wake up and make another movie tomorrow. They absolutely could.
I mean, they could, but it's like I don't like they realize that. I don't know, Marvel fan base is one thing or whatever, but like the Star Wars fan base is a whole different thing, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. This is really what it comes down to. It's like... And it's like, the thing is like, especially from like the Rise of Skywalker, it's like that was pre-COVID or whatever, then COVID kind of happened, so it was hard to film big movies like that.
Was that pre-COVID? I thought that was post-COVID.
I thought it was pre-COVID, wasn't it?
Maybe?
It's like, I thought it was... Yeah, it's 2019.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's like, what was that? Yeah, December 2019 or whatever. So, it's like right on the edge of that.
So they're just getting around to making Star Wars movies again?
Well, it's just like, you used... So you use like the TV series or whatever is kind of just like getting like parting the veil pretty much or whatever, and like telling an interesting story because you had something kind of going there.
Yeah.
Like Mandalorian was the thing. Like the thing is, I would 100% believe that if Mandalorian had failed, that they would have gone back to movies like pretty much right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's because
Mandalorian did so good.
Yeah, and then it's just like Solo did so bad. Is the thing.
I didn't hate Solo.
I didn't hate Solo, but it just didn't bring in money. That's the thing.
I mean, honestly, hand to heart, I think the Obi-Wan show should have just been a movie.
I agree too. I think it would have been better as a movie.
I think they could have easily told that story in like 2.5 hours.
Oh, easily. Yeah, easily. I agree with you. So it's like I do think some of these shows could work out better as a movie. I even think Ahsoka could have been told better. It could have been told better as a movie potentially. But I like the Ahsoka show as it is, so I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
I think Andor definitely could have been told in a movie. I'll tell you that.
I thought a lot of people liked Andor. Didn't you like Andor?
No, I did not like Andor.
Oh.
I don't like Andor because the exact reason that people do like Andor, and it's for different reasons for wanting to watch a show like that. It comes down to it's like people liked it because of like the it got into like just the like how far what the Empire was like bad guys or whatever. And I sat there going just like, but we know. Why do we need to know the exact detail of everything whatsoever? And it's like, and I think it would have been more interesting to have Andor, and it's like, the problem with Andor to me is that you already know what's going to happen to Cassian Andor, so it's like there's no suspense. Like the final cliffhanger for that the last episode is that Cassian has a gun pointed in his face, and I'll fucking kill you, and then it cuts to black, and I'm like, well, we know he's not dead because he lives in Rogue One, and that's the inherent problem with Andor is that because Rogue One exists, we know Cassian can't die. So it kind of takes the suspense away whenever there's like big like action scenes or whatever where like tension's supposed to be high or whatever, and I go, well, I know he's not going to die, so whatever. And, like, I don't really give a shit about any of the other characters. Considering that they really only go through, like, 3 that are actually relevant that's not Cassian.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just different reasons for...
Different strokes for different folks.
It's like this. It's like, as much as, like, the Rebel and, like, Empire stuff can be interesting... Star Wars is always, to me, has revolved around the conflict between the Jedi and the Sith or whatever. And it's like, if you can do that properly, if you can make the conflict there interesting, then I think that the Rebel stuff or Republic, whatever things happen, can be as that interesting as well. It's just when you get into all like the politics and semantics and shit like that, it's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. So, that's just me. Like even in Acolyte or whatever, like they were like Soul was talking to like the Jedi or whatever after they find out that Osha's sister is alive, and that she's the one that's the murdering Jedi or whatever, and it's like, well, we know where she's going and everything like that, and he's like, well, I don't care, you're coming back here because it's protocol and we got to go over all the information before we make a move. And I go, fuck you, bitch. We could save lives if you just let him go. I don't know.
That sounds super tedious.
Yeah, it's just like I don't understand why people watch. Like, I get that some shows could be in it for that, but like, why are you watching Star Wars for that?
Like, why are you getting so caught up on semantics?
Like semantics, politics of like how the Jedi worked, how the High Republic worked, and everything like that, and like just overall things. It's like the story here is clearly right now between the main character, the main cast that they have, which is like Osha, Soul, Yord, and his young Padawan. I forget her name because they only said it like twice or something like that in the show. And then, tracing after her sister May, and figuring out why it is that she holds this grudge against these 4 Jedi, because we don't know. So that to me is like where the most interesting parts of it is so far, and it's just like we'll see if it pays off in the end. If it's literally just like oh, they found like a Sith basically in the village or whatever, and he was the one who actually caused the fire type thing. It's kind of weak for the reasoning that like all these Jedi feel guilty, so it's clearly more than that, but I don't know what.
Maybe it's Anakin Skywalker being like, oh, it's Darth Vader. He used to be a Jedi.
No, this is High Republic, so this is 100 years before that.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so this is nothing to do with Skywalker, and this is why the show was kind of interesting to me, where it was like, oh, it's not going to have like the Skywalkers in it. It's not going to have Anakin in it because it's before the time. So we'll see. We shall see.
Man, I want one camera angle to exist where the sun won't fuck up my entire lighting setup.
That's fair. Anyway, moving past Star Wars, though.
So,
I didn't
a
want to
hand
get
on
it.
heart, how long do you think it's going to be before we get a chainsaw lightsaber?
Chainsaw
Or
lightsaber?
a fucking katana lightsaber? Or a gun that shoots lightsabers?
I mean, that's a thing in the comics.
A gun that shoots lightsabers?
Well, it's a gun that fires like an energy bolt from a kyber crystal. So technically, it's like shooting a lightsaber.
Oh my gosh!
It exists in the comics or whatever. Like the librarian that's at like in Coruscant or whatever, like has like this like what was once an experimental like lightsaber thing where it like emits energy from a kyber crystal that would shoot a bolt basically, and it's like shooting a lightsaber at somebody. It's like it only worked once and it's not reliable, so they scrapped the idea instantly, and it's only mentioned in passing. But that's only extended universe.
Eventually we'll get our lightsaber cannon again.
And I guess the katana is kind of just the dark saber because it has a katana like hilt to it.
The fucking dark saber exists.
Yeah, it has like a dark saber. It has like a katana like hilt to it, and like even the blade kind of looks like a katana blade.
That shit is so stupid. I hate it so much.
I mean, I get the whole point of it, but it's like because it's like just like unique looking and it's like a symbol of power, I guess. But yeah, it's in theory functions no different from a normal lightsaber. Even if they try to use all this like BS with like in like Mandalorian and stuff like that, it's like, oh, you fight against the Darksaber and that's why it's hard for you to swing it type thing. It's like implying that it kind of has a will of its own. And they go, huh? It's metal with like a unique. It's not like kyber crystals are like Harry Potter wands where the lightsaber chooses the wizard or whatever, the Jedi.
All right then.
Yeah, that's kind of a thing.
Hey, is it too late to do an intro, do you think? 17 minutes in?
Yeah, it's fine.
Alright.
Hello and welcome to the Star Wars podcast of talking Star Wars and all things Star Wars. No, we're not just talking Star Wars today. But it never ends podcast. I'm Andrew. Over there is my good buddy Alex. How you doing today?
Yo. I'm doing pretty good. Talking about Star Wars.
Indeed. We can move away from that. That's really more than I actually wanted. I didn't realize we were already 17 minutes in. I would have stopped earlier and done that.
I mean, it's fine. I enjoy talking about these things.
Yeah. It's going to be kind of interesting. But one thing I was like, there's something that happened in, like, a couple things that happened in sports recently that I actually kind of want to talk about.
Okay.
Baseball recently just gave a lifetime ban to this, I don't even know how to say his name, and I know I'm going to butcher it, this Tabico Mercano? I don't know. I butchered that name completely. But mainly for the reasons that he was sports betting on for MLB teams. That's illegal. You can't do that when you're playing or whatever. And the thing is why he got a lifetime ban, as 3 other players got only year bans, is because those guys bet on games that they weren't a part of, whereas he bet on games where that on his team that he was playing for. Now, he was hurt during the time that he bet on his team, but the fact is he was still on that team and bet on them. So, yeah. Kind of a thing. I just find it interesting because, like, baseball has only handed out a, finite number of, like, lifetime bans, like, ever, basically. It's kind of hard to get banned from baseball for life.
Well, this is a worthy thing to ban someone for, though.
Yeah, it is. It's just like, it's so crazy to me. It's like you have all these different sports or whatever, and it's like, if you want to bet, go bet on like basketball or something like that. Like, why? But at the same time, it's like, it also kind of just stumbles upon like, oh, gambling addictions are still a thing. Like, betting addictions are still a thing, and as much as it's like people try to ignore them or whatever, they are. But I mean, that's why. And this gets to the point where I was just like, man, you can't go anywhere on like any sports. Like you go on ESPN or whatever, you see betting odds for everything underneath it. Now it's like they don't even try and hide it. It's like betting anymore. It's like sports betting used to been like basically like taboo.
When was it taboo? Like very early Americas, or
I don't know. It's just like you never really did that, especially when you were an athlete. But like,
I mean, yeah, you really can't do that when you're an athlete. I mean, props to the guy for having confidence in his team, I guess. But
didn't win a single bet, by the way.
That's hilarious.
At least not one of those. Apparently, he did like 400 some bets over like 3 years or something like that, and only.
Oh my gosh!
And only did 25 for the team he was playing for, but it's like he didn't win any of those 25. But it's just like, man. Hey, guess what? Now that you have a lifetime ban from baseball, you can now go bet on baseball. It's okay. Don't actually do that. Go get some help, because it's like clearly you have a gambling addiction.
400 bets. Holy
like
cow.
400 some bets, and like only one, well, they said like 4.3% of them. It's like 40.
Jeez.
You can't have made a profit on that.
No, absolutely not.
So, I don't know. It's just wild to me, and it's like, as somebody who like I watch sports for the fun of it, not for betting wise. Like a lot of people watch like sports for a number of reasons or whatever. I do it for the love of the game or whatever. It's like it's why I only really watch baseball. It's like people people would have stopped watching football like long ago if fantasy football wasn't a thing. It's like,
you really think so?
Oh, absolutely. I was like, I cannot tell you how many times like I like my boss lady says like, oh yeah, I wouldn't take such an interest in like football in general if it wasn't for fantasy football. Like I hear so many people say that same thing. Is that the only reason they watch NFL is because of fantasy football. That's it. They want to watch their guys do. They don't even care who wins or loses. They just want their guy to do good.
That's really sad. I mean, have your hobby, I guess, but
yeah, it's like, I mean, cool, but like that's really the only reason. It's like that's kind of meh.
So I don't know anything about fantasy football. Do people play that for money? Or?
Oh yeah, some people play it for like the hardcore of like hardcore people or whatever. Like my boss has like a year-round league he does like with like people or whatever. Mm-hmm. And basically just during the off season, it's like you're like running a team or whatever, where you have like, you can like do off season trades and stuff like that. And then like when the draft comes around, you only draft the rookies that were like, or undrafted players that no one had or whatever. And I just go, and he like religiously watches like the draft and everything like that, and like goes over statistics and everything. And I just go, geez, it's like, yeah, I mean, if that's what you like to do, then sure, go for it. But
do your thing, man. But
it's like, man,
fuck.
The other thing I wanted to bring up was something I don't necessarily care about, but like, do you recognize the name Caitlyn Clark at all?
I recognize it. I'm not.
So she was a big time. She was the women's, like basically the face of women's college basketball last year for Iowa. And she got drafted into the WNBA this year. And she's been playing in the WNBA for a little while now. And so I'm trying to do this where I'm not going to sound like, because it's gonna sound bad from what I'm going to say this, but like it's just what it is that a majority of the women playing in WNBA are black women. And Caitlyn Clark is a white woman that they're upset that people all of a sudden have started taking more attention into the WNBA because of Caitlyn Clark, because she's white. And to which I go, that's probably only about maybe 25% right. Probably even less than that. But it's like, she's a good player. It's like, as much as I think she's also a cocky bitch, because she kind of is, but at the same time, it's like, but she's still good, and so like the players are even getting are like, she was recently playing a game against some team, I forget who, but there was like they had just scored, they inbounded the ball to her, or were going to inbound the ball to her, but then one of the players from the other team came up and just pretty much just body checked her, and like in an attempt to try and hurt her, and you can see like in the video when she does that, it's like, you're a bitch, and then just body checks her and like just pushed her to the ground basically.
Oh my god.
And to which, you know, the other team players are like just like going, yeah, or whatever, and stuff like that, and like celebrating that she basically just did like this big hit on what could be a star or whatever. She hasn't been playing well in the NBA, but it's like she has the potential to being like a really good player in the WNBA. Now,
holy cow, dude.
I've watched enough NBA in my time that when something like that happens, what's called on the court is a flagrant one, almost automatically, and then they'll go to review it just to double check that it's actually a flagrant one, and possibly upgrade it to a flagrant two, because in my opinion, it's a flagrant two. The difference between those two is one is accidental contact / it was sort of a basketball move, but like not really in a way. Like it's intention, but not like full intention. A flagrant two is just like, oh no, you clearly just were, that wasn't even like trying for anything. Like you were just trying to hurt her, which is flagrant two, automatic ejection and everything like that. Flagrant one is you can stay in the game. They didn't call anything on that. They called a foul. The next day, the WNBA had to upgrade it to a flagrant one foul.
I mean, they should have upgraded it to a flagrant two.
In my opinion, it should have been a flagrant two. Everyone's saying it should have flagrant one, but I go, what is the rule for flagrant two? Clear and obvious, just like, and like from every angle I've seen the clip from, she clearly did it on purpose. There was intent to hurt her, and there was nothing done about it, or whatever. Now, and here's what I want to say about this, because it sounds like, especially being two white guys, we're defending the white girl or whatever. I don't want to make this a race thing, but this is what happened.
I mean, we gotta call it like we see it too.
Exactly.
Like you can't just go doing that shit.
Exactly, and it's like the whole reason that they're doing this is because the other women that have been in the league for a while wanted that kind of attention, and they could get it with her being there, and it's like, and I think that it's partially like the media just portrays Caitlyn Clark as like this like goddess basically that's going to bring, that's like they're treating her like the LeBron James of women's basketball, and I go, it's not a, it's like she's a good player and she'll probably end up good. She's just having a rough start mainly because of all the fucking tension around it and everything like that. It's like she's clearly taking a lot of hard hits and everything like that. Is like I don't really watch WNBA, not because because I don't think women should play. It's like I just don't find it entertaining. And that's the number one thing about this, is that Caitlyn Clark was supposed to bring entertainment to, or expose people to women's college or women's NBA basketball. But they say they don't want that type thing because, it's just because she's a white woman. And I go, she's good, and that you should like that because of that reasoning.
Yeah.
It's like when you bring in talent, that's when people start watching. It's like I think about I compare it to like even early, like you kind of had like the big heavy hitters and like Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan during those like 80s 90s times or whatever. And then there was kind of a lull between after all those big players kind of like came and went. Is that the NBA kind of, it took a hit. There was not as many star players. There was not as much talent in the thing. It was not as fun to watch. And then as the years have kind of gone on, it's gotten more interesting because there have been more players. There's been more talent. There's been more rivalries and more competition between all the teams. The NBA is like now skyrocketing even beyond what they thought when like Michael Jordan times were a thing as well. So it's just like I kind of look at it like this. as that. It's like it's an opportunity for more people to be exposed to it if they want to. So my only question about this though is that like it's clear that like the WNBA needs to step in and do something about like all the hate. It's like clearly the other women don't want her there or anything whatsoever. Like they've said that outright. Many of the WNBA players have said that outright. They don't want her there. The only reason that people are now starting to care about the WNBA is because of her, because of a white woman type thing. I'm sorry, it's just not entertaining. I've watched little bits of WNBA games in the past. They're boring. They're dull. I'm sorry. It's just true. When the scores are like 70 or whatever, and like shooting is abysmal, there's nobody dunking, and it's just like taking little shots, running down the court or whatever. It's like watching high school basketball or whatever, and it's just not. It's not fun to watch. But when you get some really real talent in there, not saying there isn't already talent, it's just that they don't allow that to shine. You know, it's just like there was a petition a couple of years ago for the NBA, for the WNBA, or I think there was a proposal from the WNBA commissioner to like lower the hoops from 10 feet to 8 feet to allow women to have the more opportunity to dunk the ball. Dunking is big in the NBA or whatever, and it's high energy. Like everyone gets excited when a person dunks or whatever. So
kind of like a home run in baseball.
Exactly. It's like, oh, well, people will cheer for a guy hitting a single, but it's like more people will get excited for hitting a home run. Same thing for dunking, especially if you dunk over somebody. That's like that's like when people go like, "Whoa, it's crazy, bro!" And it's like, and the women hated that because they were like, "Oh, well, you don't think that we couldn't dunk on 10-foot hoops or whatever?" And I go, "No, it's just you're not." You know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not saying that there. It's so hard to talk about this, especially when you're just a white dude.
I mean, at the same time, it's something that we should be honest about.
Yeah.
It's simply not enthralling for a lot of, especially like mainstream audiences. And, maybe for some people that's not the case, but clearly right now that's not the majority.
It comes down to, it's just like the WNBA needs to step in with like Caitlyn Clark and send a message to every team and every player in the WNBA right now. Mm-hmm. Because as far as I'm concerned, and as far as everything I've heard about this whole scenario is that nothing's being done. They upgraded that one play to a flagrant one, and then they said, "That's it." What are you talking about? You think this is going to stop just because you called a flagrant? You upgraded that to a flagrant one? You think that's going to fucking stop? So the WNBA needs to do something. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
I was going to say we got Nancy Lieberman standing up for her. That's pretty neat.
So, but it's just like the WNBA needs to step up and make it clear that. This is not going to be the year that Caitlyn Clark gets hazed all throughout the entire of her rookie year. Mm. It's not going to be a good look, and nobody's going to watch it, especially if she has like a season-ending injury. Because if that happens, your ratings are going to tank hard. I guarantee it. 2, where the fuck are the Indiana players that are her teammates? Where the hell are they? They're not even standing up for her. During the play or whatever, during that whole play or whatever, they just stood around, did nothing. If I'm watching an NBA game or whatever, and somebody takes a cheap shot, you can see 4 or 5 other players. You see guys coming off the benches going, "What the fuck was that?" And they're getting right in their face. They stand up for their guys. You got to stand up for your player too.
Yeah.
That tells me you don't even like her, and she's on your team. That's bad.
That's real bad. What the fuck, dude?
Yeah, like that. It's just, it's not cool or whatever. And it's like, as much as I'm not a big fan of Caitlyn Clark or whatever, but she has the talent, and she should have the ability to, to try and do well.
To play without getting hazed all the time.
Yeah, and not be hazed throughout her entire rookie year and potentially her career. if it doesn't stop.
Mm-hmm.
It's just crazy to me that like, oh, it's just like the WNBA players, they want to get paid the big bucks, and they've talked about how it's like, it's the classic stereotype. It's like, oh, the men get paid more than the women, but the men draw in more attention. They draw in more ad viewership. They bring it, like, people want to watch them and watch them a lot, whereas the women, it's not very entertaining to watch. Like, it loses money every year. It's partially owned by the NBA, and if it wasn't for that, the WNBA would have gone under a long time ago. It's like you have to try and make your sport entertaining or whatever. It's like if it means making concessions or whatever, and it's just like, oh, well, we don't want to be looked down by the men or whatever. And I go, no one's going to look down from you if you all of a sudden want to lower the basketball hoops by 2 feet or even a foot or 2 feet or whatever, just so you can dunk more often. Be more newsworthy or whatever, more highlight reels and everything like that from that. Because it's like every time I see a highlight reel from it, it's just like,
technically is newsworthy. It's for the wrong reasons, but it is newsworthy.
Yeah, it's just like
a lot of people seem to be calling for what's her name to be suspended.
Yeah, the lady who did it.
Yeah. I'm not seeing her name here, though.
Yeah, I forgot who it was. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But, like, I don't know. It just comes down to it's just like, I get that you don't like Caitlyn Clark or whatever, but you got to get over that. And you need to play better as a whole unit or whatever to make it more entertaining and whatever. That's all it comes down to. You want to get paid the big bucks? You want to be playing during prime time or whatever? Then you got to put up the numbers. You got to be more entertaining, and you got to and everything like that. It's like, it's not that hard to understand. It's like just because it's like, especially because like when it comes to professional sports, it's like oftentimes the women's side is not highlighted at all, because most of the time there's no women's football league or whatever for like NFL or whatever. There's no like professional softball leagues or anything like that, or for women. So it's just like, it's hard, but at the same time, it's like you could help yourself out here as well. Is all we're trying to say.
Yeah.
I don't know. I saw a clip with one of my more favorite shows from ESPN. It's one I still kind of watch to this day. That's actually been running for a very long time. Oh, I gotta find it. What was I always forget what the show is called though. It's like, it's just like two longtime journalists that have been. Pardon the interruption. That's what it is. Is that they were talking about this a couple days ago or whatever, and I think they talk about it in their most like journalistic view they can, whereas not really putting their spin on it or whatever. I thought it was a very good discussion, and pretty much kind of going over the thoughts that like we both said or whatever. It's just like, but I thought they put it in a very, very succinct way. I don't know. A lot of it's the thing. It sometimes can be the thing. I feel like when it comes to certain things like this, it's like you don't want to admit that someone, especially someone coming into the league, is that much better than you or whatever. Oh, I remember where I was going to go with this. Is that when in the 80s, 90s or whatever, when Magic Johnson was first coming into the NBA or whatever, and it's like. It was kind of like the NBA at the time was kind of dominated by white men, despite basketball being known for mainly black men kind of playing or whatever. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, like Larry Bird and Magic Johnson did not like each other, and there was not a lot of respect between them at the start. But as Magic Johnson played and kind of showed off his talents, they became respect one another, and now they're very good friends, even to this day.
Nice.
So it's just, but it's just like, and I think that looking years down the line, this could be what happens with Caitlyn Clark as well. Is like, if if the hazing stops, if she has the ability to show that she can actually be good, show off what she was doing in college, like maybe that could happen years down the line, but as of right now, that's a tough road. That's a tough road to climb. It's like I was like not to like compare like this situation to like some other ones or whatever, but it's like I even look at it kind of like the whole thing with like Jackie Robinson back in the day or whatever. It's like you had like the first black guy in baseball or whatever, and it was like, people threw at his head. They like spiked him because when he played first or whatever, you spiked the back of his leg, and that fucking hurts. You're gonna have to get yourself stitched up. You gotta be pulled from the game. Like that's just. It's like he endured some nasty shit and came out the other side, and now he's a sports icon and a hero or whatever.
Mm-hmm. I don't think this is quite at that level.
No, but I'm not saying I want to compare it to that. I can see the
similarities, yeah.
I don't want to compare it to that because, it's two different reasons. But, like, it's always like, you always have, like, those firsts or whatever that always come in with, like, resentment because it's kind of like a change in the status quo or, like, threatening what has always been the norm or something like that, or what, like, a person has or whatever. It's like I'm not going to speak for the ladies that are playing in the WNBA, but it's like you see someone like Caitlyn Clark coming into the WNBA, and you think to yourself, it's just like, oh, it's like now that she's going to take all the spotlight that I was like getting or whatever, and they're jealous of that, or could be jealous of that, so they're trying to stop her from that, and they're hazing, bullying her for it as a result of that. We don't know if she's going to be good. Or whatever. She's off to a rough start. But at the same time, it's like, just play the game, is what it comes down to. Just play the game, play better than her. If you want to show that you're better, play better than her.
You don't need to be, shoving around trying to make her quit when all that does is make you look worse by comparison.
Yeah. Did you ever see have you seen the movie 42 at all?
42?
Yeah. It's the Jackie Robinson movie with that's
oh yeah.
With Chadwick Boseman as Jackie Robinson.
I've definitely seen this movie.
I'm sure you have. Yeah. I think we've talked about it before, but there was during one of the games against the Phillies, I forget the fucking manager's name, but he was a piece of shit or whatever that was just like calling him, racial slurs right in the middle of the at-bat or whatever, saying that he was like, that Jackie was like sleeping with like one of the wives of like the other players or whatever and all that. And it's just like, man, could you imagine like enduring that while you're taking an at-bat? I'm like, I couldn't. And it was just like, man, it was like, I just remember like the beginning of the movie or whatever. It's like Branch was basically saying, it's like, I need the player that's is not going to be wanting to fight back, but is going to fight back by winning games, stealing bases, hitting home runs, that type of thing. It's like, I don't want you to fight on the field. I don't want you to pick fights or whatever, because the media will portray it as the black man started the fight or whatever, especially back then, with heavy racism. Mm. So it's just like, you can't really do that. So he was just like, oh, win with, playing well and getting on base, stealing and helping us win a championship, which they did. So it's like, you need to do stuff like that. God, I need to rewatch 42 now.
Yeah, it's been a minute since I've seen that movie.
It has. It's a great movie. It's like, I think that one's like near the top of like some of my favorite like sports movie in general. Mm-hmm. It's like that. Like, Remember the Titans is a good one. I don't know. There's so many of them.
A League of Their Own.
League of Their Own's a good one too. I like that one. It's like the classic is always like Field of Dreams, especially when you're like young or whatever. Sandlot, another classic.
Oh, that was such a good movie.
It is.
I need to rewatch Sandlot sometime. I haven't watched that in a hot minute.
Have you ever watched like the sequel? Like there's like 2 sequels to the Sandlot. Have you ever watched those at all?
No. Are they any good?
Sandlot 2 is is pretty bad. It's you can just skip right past that one.
But Sandlot 3 is good.
Well, it's called Sandlot Heading Home. I actually really enjoyed that one. That one's like basically it's just like, oh, this kid that grew up in like playing ball at the Sandlot or whatever, like basically grew up to kind of be an asshole and have like commitment issues or whatever with like his wife and, you know, playing for other teams or whatever. He was nicknamed Santa because he said it was a gift for him for anyone to watch him play. And I was like, ugh, that's that already. And then like during like a fireworks display, gets like during like batting practice, gets hit in the head with a ball, and then is like transported back to when he was a kid, basically, and given a second chance to kind of right his wrongs.
Oh, that's
It's actually really good. I'm making it sound more serious than it actually is. Like but it's like that's basically like the premise of it too.
Okay.
It's just like you have like the kids and like the of like the Sandlot or whatever, and then like they enter like a little league tournament or whatever, and then because like the real estate guy wants to like plow over the Sandlot and make it into like condos or something like that. So they play like the championship game between the two kids or whatever, and to like decide like the fate of the Sandlot. If like the Sandlot kids win, the Sandlot stays. If the other team wins, then they bulldoze the Sandlot. So in the bad future, he then plays for the other like the bad guys team or whatever, and makes like the game-winning catch over center field or whatever. And that's like, and he had like a scout for some like prep school thing or whatever that like helps him jumpstart his career in like in baseball. And so he's just like, well, I can either do that and know that that's what's going to happen, or I can play for my friends with the Sandlot and save the Sandlot and then kind of change things. I don't know. People said they didn't like it, but I thought it was very good.
Okay. What were your thoughts on the Benchwarmers movies?
Oh, is that that comedy one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where it's like the one, because it's like you have like it's like those two like older guys. It's like the three old guys, but like one of them played baseball, and the two others are just like
terrible.
Yeah, they're just like they've never played baseball or whatever, and they're like,
yeah, that's the one.
God damn, I haven't thought about that game. I haven't thought about that movie in a while.
I haven't thought about that until just now. I remember it being really, really bad.
It was trying. It was. Like, I mean, it's just a comedy. That's really all it is.
I mean, when I watched it with my stupid friends, we obviously thought it was the funniest shit ever. But like nowadays, looking back on that movie,
yeah, no, it's not great.
I still haven't watched Moneyball. I keep meaning to.
Oh, it's so good. I don't know. It's just like you look at like Moneyball. It's like, man, that really did just change like the game of baseball, regardless whether or not you really knew it at the time, especially.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I remember one of the quotes was like right at the end of the movie or whatever. Jonah Hill's character, I forgot his name. He's like the assistant to Billy Beane, and he was just like saying it's just like, I mean, if you don't win the final game of the season, nobody cares, right? Like that's just what Billy's like. So, but then he goes like he shows like this metaphor for like it's like, oh, this guy who's like he's a big dude or whatever hits like a long ball, and he never rounds first to go to second base. But in this scenario, he hits the ball deep center field. Starts running, and he does something that he never does. He rounds first, and he's going to head for second. And as he's running first, he falls. He falls onto the ground, and everyone starts laughing at him. You know, it's like nightmare. You know, it's like, oh man, I went for it, and I fucking failed or whatever. And it's like everyone's kind of like laughing at him. It's like ha ha ha, and or whatever. And then he looks up. He had just hit a home run. He hit a home run. And he didn't know. And then all the players are all like you know like all the fans were kind of laughing because they were just like, oh, he hit a home run. Why is he falling down on the ground or whatever? And it's like not that they were laughing at him because he made an embarrassment because he fell, but like oh, because he did something great and he just didn't realize it. And that's kind of like the metaphor for the movie of Moneyball. It's like Billy changed the game of baseball forever with analytics. He just didn't realize it at the time because who could? He was the laughingstock. Everyone on radio, everyone on like TV and everything like that. Anything that came to when talking baseball or whatever talked about how it was a failure. Everything about the team was a failure, even despite winning like 100 games or whatever. And it's like it was just a failure or whatever. Then he went to go meet with like the Red Sox owner or whatever, and like the owner was just like, you know, you won the same amount of games that you did the year before, but you were lacking your 3 stars and Jason Giambi and Johnny Damon and Matt Idrihausen. It's like you lost those 3 guys. You won more games than the Yankees, and the Yankees spent so much more money than you did, or whatever. Like they spent, it was some like absurd amount of money over them, and the A's did better regular season. Now they lost to the Twins in the playoffs that year.
Mm-hmm.
But it was looked at as a success, but Billy didn't look at it as a success because he didn't think he changed the game at the time. It's a great movie. It's like you can even still see it in baseball today. It's like it's even gotten like even just crazier. It's like they were looking at stat lines that nobody thought about. It's like even the beginning part of the game or whatever. It's like back then it's like you looked at batting average. No one looked at OBP. Like on base percentage. Like on base percentage is a better stat line than batting average, because batting average only shows how often you got a base hit to get onto base. Mm-hmm. Whereas on base percentage tells you how often you got on base, whether it was a walk, error, or whatever. It's like we're even further beyond that now. We're going to with OPS, which is on base percentage plus slugging. So that's not only how often are you getting on base, but also are you hitting more than just singles? Are you hitting home runs? Are you hitting doubles? Are you hitting triples? That type of thing, because that's what slugging kind of measures, is like, oh, OBP measures you got on base, but then slugging measures did you hit a double, did you hit a home run. The higher those two numbers, then the higher your OPS is. It's a lot of stats, but like that's basically how hitters are now judged for like getting on base and hitting. Whereas
I'm just trying to take this all in.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot to take in, and it's why it's so hard for people who don't really know baseball to understand. You know, you look at the stat line or whatever, and it's like it's just like, what does all this mean? It's like the easiest to understand things are the batting average, RBIs, and home runs. How many home runs has this player hit? How many RBIs? How many guys has he driven in? And you know, how often is he getting a base hit? That's why it's always been like that. But now it's like you have OPS, on base percentage plus slugging. You have WAR, wins over replacement, that kind of thing or whatever. So it's just like that measures how much better you are in that position over another player. Mm-hmm. So it's like that's kind of how guys are judged now, and it's like even pitchers is even like worse or whatever. It's like it's just like you have like, what is it, like spin rate? How many times the ball spins while it's in it's in the air, basically, which is like anywhere from like 25,000 RPM to 3,000, depending on if it's like a fastball or a slider or something like that.
This is a lot.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. So it's like I don't blame people for not getting, you know, statistics, because it's tough. It's a tough game or whatever, and it took me a while to really understand it too. It's like how you even see like other sports kind of doing that now, like with their like statistics. I've seen like NFL stats, and I go, what the hell does all this even mean? Like I know less about football than I do baseball, so it's just like I didn't realize that they cared about like I don't even know football statistics. But it's like that's what basically like the 2002 Oakland A's did, is that they basically reinvented the game of baseball in a modern version of it. in a way, because it's like, and it's still going today. It's still going strong, more than ever probably. If you really had to do it, because like a lot of teams are kind of doing that. I mean, look at like a team like the Brewers or whatever. It's like you can even say that, like, that's Moneyball right there with how many young guys or whatever, and like what they're doing since like 2018 was when they started like seeing consistent success with guys that are undervalued or rookies that are coming up that are actually really good.
When we went, basically all of the players were younger than I was, and that made me very self-conscious.
Yeah. You ever seen the movie $1 Million Arm?
No.
That one's like, I remember watching this like when it first came out. I think it was like a Disney one or whatever. Yeah, it was Disney's $1 Million Arm. And it was like basically, it was like this one dude, like, I don't remember the whole plot of it, but it's like it's like a sports agent goes to like an Indian cricket player like league or whatever. Like he goes to India to like, and he's like, oh, here, anyone that can grab a baseball and throw it 90 miles an hour, I'll take you to America and try you out in the big leagues or whatever. So he has like all these like cricket players like try and throw 90 or whatever, and nobody can really get it type thing. Until like this one kid like throws like a 90 some pitch or whatever, and it's like it was actually quite a good movie.
That's an interesting idea for a sports movie. So he just picks up this Indian guy, brings him to America because he can throw a baseball really fast.
Pretty much, yeah. It's like he brings it in front of like a baseball team, and he goes, "Oh yeah, this kid can throw like 90 miles an hour or whatever." It's like you should teach him how to like actually pitch. Or whatever, because he has like the talent and like really good of it, and I think that at some point he gets like a slider or curveball, and I think there's like at some point there's like oh yeah, I think it was like they were trying to like draft him or whatever, they were trying to get him drafted by a team or something like that, and this other that's Trouble with the Curve I'm thinking of. Yeah. That one's Clint Eastwood, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's Clint Eastwood.
Yeah, that sounds right. Yep. No, I was thinking that part was part of it, but it's like he really like just brings him in front of like a team or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, here, face down this big leaguer, and if you can strike him out, I'll sign you to $1 million contract or whatever. And he like fails a bunch of times or whatever until he's like, all right, this is gonna be your last chance, and then he finally does it. There's a lot of good movies out there.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through sports movies. There's a lot more than I realized.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of old ones as well. Some of them that are pretty good still. It's always funny. Is like I always talk about like baseball like movies or whatever, and people's like, "Oh, you're thinking like Rookie of the Year, Major League, stuff like that." And I go, "No, it's sort of like yeah, Field of Dreams is like the old one or whatever. Even Sandlot's old at this point, but it's like it's like the old classic. But it's like no, I still look at like one of like my favorite baseball movies is still like Moneyball or whatever because of just like how it changed and how like the thinking was." So next level compared to where baseball was at that time. It was think about like, oh, just buy all the star players. That's why everyone hated the Yankees, is they would buy all the best players and have the best team, and they win every year. That's why everyone hates, like, fuck the Yankees. That's why everyone says fuck the Yankees unless you're a Yankees fan. Because I guess you just like winning because it's boring when you win all the time. But then again, they haven't won since when was the last time the Yankees won like the World Series?
It's been a hot minute.
It has been a while. 2009 was their most recent, so it's definitely been a while for them. And they're coming off, last year was one of their worst years in franchise, which, I mean, they finished with a losing record, but not even that bad. But it just shows like the consistent success that the Yankees have and are expected of their teams. But yeah, the Yankees would just like, especially like during like those like 90s, like the 90s is where they won, like, yeah, 90, 96, 98, 99, 2000, and like that's where everyone really started like, oh man, the Yankees win like every goddamn year. It's because they won like every other year during like the mid 90s.
They were a good team.
They had good players or whatever, but they would also buy all their players, so that's why everyone's like, oh, it's just a buy all the players, buy all the best talent, and then no one else will be good, so that way you'll just steamroll them. And that's where, it's like still one of my favorite quotes from Moneyball is that, like, oh, there are rich teams, then there are poor teams, then there's 50 feet of crap, and then there's us. And he's just like, it's an unfair game. You got all these guys going, it's like the Yankees are pilfering all these players, Boston's pilfering all these players type thing. It's like we're just basically a farm system for all these big teams or whatever, because we can't afford to pay them the big bucks. And so we have to think differently. We have to think in terms of less about star players and thinking about building a team as a whole. That's how teams kind of work nowadays.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, you have your big players or whatever. It's like you have your big stars. Like most teams have at least a few big stars in their lineup, especially if they're really good. Mm. But oftentimes you also need that supporting cast with them. It's like I look at like I'm using the Brewers because I know the Brewers or whatever. It's like your two big your two big hitters are William Contreras and Christian Yelich, because Yelich is back. I hope I didn't just jinx that. I'm gonna knock on some wood. We say that we've been saying this for, like, Brewers fans have been saying for the past 2 years. Christian Yelich is back. He's back in MVP form. He's doing the thing. He's hitting the ball and everything like that. So we're praying to God that it stays that way.
Please.
So it's just like, but yeah, you have your two big hitters, and then you also have like, I look at the lineup up and down or whatever. It's like depending on whoever is in the like leadoff position, whether it's like Joey Ortiz, Sal Frelick, or Bryce Terang, because Terang's been hitting so goddamn well this year. And then, yeah, it's just like, so you have like those three guys finished off, and you have Willie Adames at shortstop, and he's just like coming up with clutch hits after clutch hits this year. And then you have the older players like Gary Sanchez or whatever, still great guy to have when it comes in the DH position. Trying to think. It's like you still got Hoskins as well, so he's a great power threat as well. Because then it comes down to whoever's in the outfield. It's like Jackson Chourio, I really want to be good, especially because one of the Brewers just gave him a pretty sizable contract considering they'd never seen him play in the majors.
Yeah.
Up to that point. But he's looked about as well as I thought he would do this year, honestly. It's like there's been some really good highlights, and then there's been some struggles, but that's kind of what you expect from rookies. Mm. And then, so it's like, then because I'm thinking, it's like, who else? Because then you got, that's pretty much it. The Brewers have a very deep lineup with, like, because they have so many guys who can play in the outfield, like Blake Perkins or whatever. It's like we're hoping to get Garrett Mitchell back, because guy's been hurt a lot, but when he's playing, he's impactful, and that's why I want to see him actually play and stay healthy for once. Even like Andrew Monasterio or whatever, guys that have, like, he's been playing in the up until like last year, like he'd been playing for like 7 years in the minors until he was finally called up. It's just like it's a very deep lineup, and like for a lot of the guys, I can say it's just like I would trust a lot of those guys. Like obviously, I would want like Contreras up, in like spots of like, oh, we absolutely need a hit. Like I would either want like Contreras, Yelich, or Adames up whenever we need that clutch hit. But for the most part, it's like that's partially the reason that the Brewers have had the success that they've had this year. It's like they have one of the best offenses in the majors. Funny I'm saying that considering we just faced the Phillies 3 times and only scored 1 run in the fucking 3 games against them, so that's great. But it's like, but when you look at the numbers overall, it's like it's pretty good. One of these days, when I watch like a Cubs game or whatever, they're gonna talk about the Brewers as an actual threat. They just deny it, even though they just lost 3 of their last 4 in the last series against us.
Soon we will force them to understand.
One of these days, they'll understand once we win the division again. Hopefully.
Man, I never got to spill a beer on a Cubs fan.
Next time.
Yeah.
Next time, indeed.
That one dude that just got so salty and was like, Packers suck. Just fucking walked out after.
Man, fuck the Packers.
At a Brewers game.
Yeah. Yeah, that was more of funny than I thought it was like an insult. I'm like, what? Didn't even want to say fuck the Brewers. He was like, no, fuck the Packers, and then just walked away.
I think he may have said,
that was
like,
very
fuck
funny.
Yeah, I think he said
he might have gone under his breath and go fuck the Brewers, and then he was like, no, fuck the Packers too.
And by the way, fuck the Packers.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's probably what it was. We just didn't hear the first part. I don't know.
At the first, it was just the dude mumbling to himself, and then it became like a whole thing.
Yeah. I gotta love that though.
It was fun.
It was fun. I do want to go. I do want to go to another game, but it's like if we want to do like Twilight Imperium over that, I wouldn't be against it either.
Okay.
Because that would be like the next time we'd be able to go to a game. Thank you all so much for watching or listening to this like sports podcast, I guess, today. I was like, there was a whole state of play. We just breezed right by that. Did you ever? Before we end, I was like, I guess do you want to talk about the state of play at all? Because there wasn't a whole lot I cared about in it.
Oh yeah, sure. We can quick go over the state of play.
I mean,
there was a Dead by Daylight thing that happened recently, but we can save that for next week.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing something about that too.
Let's just skip that for now. But
yeah,
state of play. Nothing happened, then it ended.
Yeah, I was like. I like
Concord
how like
looks like an interesting like Overwatch ripoff, but the problem is they're selling it for $60 fucking.
Which one's that? I was like,
that's the hero shooter that they showed at the very beginning of the state of play.
The Concord or whatever.
Yeah,
I saw a report today that they were selling it for 40 like Helldivers or something like that though. I don't know if that's true or not.
I saw there was a $60 edition and then there was a $100 edition.
Oh, probably. Either way, I didn't think it looked that great. Did you?
No. Oh, it's $60 Australian. Okay.
Okay, so that's I think it translates to like $40.
Yeah. That's $40 US.
Yeah.
Still for a multiplayer only game, that's
it's
like how much does Overwatch 2 cost? Isn't that free to play?
That's free to play.
So why would anyone go over to Concord over like that
or even
that
like
new Marvel game that just came out?
The Marvel game that just came out. I don't know. Marvel
Makes
Rivals.
absolutely no sense to me.
It's like that Astrobot. I'm like just like Jesus Christ.
I mean, Astrobot looks fine. I mean, even Concord looks kind of interesting, but at the exact same time, it's just why.
I wasn't interested in it.
Yeah. There's just not a lot of noteworthy shit.
It's like, oh, they showed off Until Dawn gameplay trailer. We already know what that's gonna be.
It's a fucking movie game.
Exactly.
And not like other movie games. It's literally a movie game that just looks slightly better.
Exactly. It's like, I like how there was a Dynasty Warriors game. When was the last time a Dynasty Warriors game came out? It's been a hot minute.
The Dynasty Warriors games used to be so fire.
Dude,
though.
they were so good. And then they just went down the tube.
Yeah. Like, I never played Dynasty Warriors 9. I played the fuck out of Dynasty Warriors 8.
Oh,
I played that game all day.
The last Dynasty Warriors game I remember playing was like I think Dynasty Warriors 4 or 5. Like I played the shit out of those games. Those are like I think those are like PS2s.
The last Dynasty Warriors S game was Fire Emblem Warriors in 2022.
Well, it's not Dynasty Warriors though. That's just the makers.
I mean, yeah. Other than that, the last one was Dynasty Warriors 9 in 2018. So it's been about 6 years.
Hell yeah, Dynasty Warriors 4 for PS2. That was the shit. Love that game.
What the fuck else was there at the State of Play?
It's like Astrobot, Silent Hill 2, Alien Rogue inclusion. I don't know. They had a trailer for fucking Marvel Rivals.
A game that's already out.
Exactly. It's just like there just wasn't a whole lot. Like I don't know. Like I don't know. Like there was the God of War Ragnarok PC announcement, and I go, really? Come on now.
Who cares?
It's like we already.
Like honestly,
you can play that. It's like don't do remaster stuff and everything like that or PC ports. It's like and then just I'm like whatever, man.
Alien Rogue. I'm pretty sure that was that's a VR game, right?
Yeah, I believe it was a VR game. Yeah, and that was also part of the
so.
reason. I was like, man, I didn't care about VR stuff.
New look at Monster Hunter, I guess.
Sure.
Like quite a few people were excited for Astrobot, but I really hope they don't plan on selling this game for $70. I don't care how big it is.
Astrobot is basically just going to be like the next Little Big Planet. Like they just won't make Little Big Planet anymore, I guess.
I mean, yeah. At the exact same time, I don't care if it's like 4 times the size. The game was a demo. It's 4 times longer than the fucking tech demo for the PS5. Of course, it's bigger. I don't know.
I don't know. I basically looked at the state of play and I said to myself, and I go, you know, Sony was just like, hey, tell me you don't have anything for the rest of the year without telling me you don't have anything for the rest of the year.
Yeah, there was not a whole lot to show. That is for sure.
We saw a Silent Hill 2 trailer that we'd already seen before.
Mm-hmm.
Huh? Whatever. That was kind of just my thoughts of the state of play. I just didn't care.
Then there was that one. It was called Infinity Nikki that I saw, where I was watching the entire thing, and I was watching it. It wasn't one of the Dark Souls clones. Weirdly enough, it was a different anime game, and I was just thinking the entire time, what the fuck is this? Is this like a fucking?
It's a gacha game.
No, it's according to them, it's an open world dress up adventure.
Yeah, that's
whatever the fuck that means.
That's also a gacha game.
Is it a gacha game?
I'm pretty sure that those Nikkei games or whatever are in of themselves like a
gacha variety.
Or just like gacha games.
Oh no.
I don't know. I don't care, but I see them. I was like, I occasionally, because my advertising thinks that I like Nikkei games or whatever, and now just even saying this because my computer will be listening to me, now knows that it's like, oh, show more ads about it, or whatever, and I'm just like, no, shut the fuck, go away. I don't know. It's just weird. I don't want it. Go away.
Then we have the Xbox showcase coming up in like a week or so now.
It's true.
That people are saying, "Oh yeah, it's gonna be so good." They say this every single fucking year. I hate it. It's gonna be so good. 2 hours, 30 games, a lot of unannounced shit, and all I'm thinking is, man, you best have release dates that aren't 4 years away.
Boy, I hope so.
And you better make this better be the fucking best, games conference ever created. Because man, oh man, is Xbox in the worst possible position ever.
Yeah, you might need it, Xbox.
I hope they know what they're doing with that. I sure hope that half of it isn't just dedicated to Black Ops 6.
It's like half of it isn't that, or like talking about nothing of the Kojima game that's not even close to being done.
Or one of the other billion games that they announced that still don't have a release date, like fucking State of Decay 3, or what was that one Rare game, Everwild or whatever the fuck, that they announced fucking 5 years ago?
I don't know.
Oh, man. I used to be an Xbox fan.
Yeah, they really did it. Really did a nasty thing when they just decided, oh yeah, we don't want to try make cool games anymore, I guess. We're just gonna bank everything on Call of Duty like Activision did for all those years. It's kind of how it feels at the moment.
Yeah. So thank you everybody for listening, watching the fucking sports and state of play podcast, I guess.
Right.
You can listen to us wherever your podcast can be found.
Except for on Apple, because they fucking suck.
Okay, eventually Apple Music.
If I can ever eventually figure it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, be sure to check it out. Be sure to subscribe to the feed if you aren't already subscribed. Be sure to tell other people about it. Watch us on YouTube. All the links are in the description below or in the show notes. So go check them out. And yeah, be sure to that's also links to my stuff, Alex's stuff over there. And we will see y'all next time. Bye-bye.